Hello, folks. This is Rick Robinson. I'm the host of America Off the Rails. I'd like to take just a moment to wish you and yours a very happy holiday season.
The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Alright folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
Hi, this is Rod of the Rod Eccles Show. Yours truly, L. Rod. Wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you in 2016.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. Good to be back with you Wednesday evening on K98 Talk, where Wednesdays will never be the same again because you get the Grouch, the Bunny, and DeWilkins all in a row every Wednesday night. Now, tonight, we have a very special guest with us. We're welcoming Mr. Rod Eccles in. Rod is a nationally syndicated conservative talk show host, and quite frankly, he's not only the coolest man in talk radio, but probably one of the smartest, too. So welcome, Rod. Glad to have you back with us.
Thanks. Thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure.
Man, for those that remember, I actually got to co-chair a Wake Up America show with Rowdy Rick, and we had Rod on the show. If you didn't catch that, you missed out. And I really wanted Rod one-on-one to have back on this show and dig a little deeper. I know we talked about some things, Rod, on that program, maybe not as deep as I like to get. I don't know how deep you like to get, but we're going to find out because we got some things to talk about, my friend.
Yes, we do. Let's head down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's go. Let's start with the big heat right now. Let's talk Baltimore. I personally do not know what this mayor was thinking. She has backpedaled into some semblance of common sense and you know what a leader should do, but telling everybody to just give these people space to tear the town apart. What gives, Rob? What's your take on this?
This is pretty typical, although she was pretty brazen to actually say it. Most of the time they won't actually come out and say it, but they'll do it. They'll act the same way that she acted by, pulling the police back a little bit or even telling the police to just go into a full retreat, giving them room because, we hear from the left, they have, all of this stuff has been happening to blacks, good or bad, right or wrong. It's been happening to blacks for decades. And there may be some validity to some of what they're saying. However, it doesn't give anybody the right at any time to just snap and start destroying a city and destroying innocent people's property, livelihoods. Now, look, this is nothing more, and don't get me wrong. I am not one of those conspiracy theory nuts, but understand this is nothing more than what they did in Boston earlier after the Boston bomber. This is a martial law trial run. Now, in order for Baltimore to get back control of the city, what they decided to do was have a curfew. Not only did they decide to have a curfew, but they decided to bring in 2,000 military troops. National Guard, yes, but still military troops to back up the 1,000 policemen on duty. And they were telling people, well, you can't even go to a baseball game. In fact, we're going to have a baseball game and nobody can go to it.
That's right.
Really? And this is just almost as bad as the Boston Marathon bombing, where this year, the Boston Marathon bombing was 2 years ago. This year, in order to make people feel safe, when you went to the Boston Marathon route, you could not have a backpack or a blanket because that's what the bombers used. Are you kidding me? And when they were chasing these two guys, just two guys, they shut down the city of Boston and two of its suburbs. Everybody had to be off the street while they were chasing these two criminals.
Right.
Now, yes, granted, what they did was awful, but they were just two criminals, and they shut down 3 communities so they could chase them. So now we're seeing there's a little bit of upheaval, which they could have contained if the mayor acted properly and did what she was supposed to do right up front, and if the governor actually acted sooner and did what he was supposed to do sooner, they could have contained it. But no, instead they waited, and then it gave them the excuse, well, now we're just going to institute a form of martial law in the form of a curfew, and you can't go to work, you can't go to a baseball game. If you are outside after 10 p.m., you're going to get arrested. Well, that's not freedom in my book.
No, sir, I agree. And, I don't know all of Maryland's laws. I know I believe you're in New England. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So we're kind of like halfway between. I'm down on the northern Gulf Coast and you're in New England and Baltimore sits in the mid-Atlantic.
All right, folks, bear with us for just a second. For some reason, we lost internet connection, and I'm trying to get everybody reestablished here. Remember how you said something at the beginning of the show about a power flash? Guess what just happened to me?
Oh, really? Was that on your end?
Yes. We've lost Rod, too, so I may have to try to call him back.
Oh, man, okay. Well, folks, are we broadcasting, Rick?
Yeah, we are live again. Everything's back up. So
we are live. Right before the show started, folks, I had I was booting my laptop up and the power at my home just flicked off, 5 minutes before showtime. And now on Rick's end, where the show is actually produced and broadcast from, he just had a power outage that flicked on and off. So weirdness going on tonight. We're going to try to get Rod back online with us.
The NSA, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, it could be the NSA, but I'm betting more on Mother Nature. So anyway, as I was discussing with Rod before we were just cut off there, citizens today, they took to the streets first thing this morning and started cleaning up the mess in Baltimore. And when rioters started showing up, a group of citizens actually put themselves in front of the police officers and were protecting the police from the rioters, basically challenging the rioters, saying, you know what, I'm your fellow Baltimorean. I am your uncle, your father, your brother, your sister, whoever. Are you willing to abuse me to get to these police? And from what I saw, it actually seemed pretty effective. From what I hear today was much, much calmer, as was last night after the arrival of the National Guard. I'm not a fan of the semi-martial law state like Rod was talking about before we got cut off. But there was something that needed to be done. And I just think that maybe it could have been done with strictly the police force had the mayor acted appropriately to begin with, instead of allowing this to fester.
He's coming back in now.
And I think we're bringing Rod back on here momentarily. What a nightmare. First my power, then Rick's. It is what it is. We're all used to playing the game. I think maybe Rod's back with us now. Are you with us, Rod?
Yes, I am.
All right, welcome back. Sorry about that. I was explaining to the folks while you were still dark there that about 4 minutes prior to showtime, my power went off at the house momentarily as I was booting my laptop up. And here we get 10 minutes into the program and Rick's power dies on him where he's actually producing the show.
Oh, okay. So it was just Mother Nature playing with us tonight.
Yes. So, Rod, what I was just going on just for a minute more about what you had talked about how this like semi-martial law state isn't freedom. And I was talking about the crowd today, the citizens that put themselves between the rioters and the police to help shield the police. And basically they were saying, hey, you know what? I am a fellow Baltimore resident here, and I may not be happy about what happened, but you know what? There's ways to be angry and still function within the law. And if you're willing to hurt me, who could be your uncle, your brother, your sister, your mother, whoever, then hurt me to get to these police. And it actually seemed quite effective.
Yeah, and it went to show the lengths of what people will do in order to protect what is right, in order to stand up for what is right. And it also showed that every American has the right and the ability to stand up and do the right thing. And and many of them, most of them were black men that were standing between the police and the rioters.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them were old. There were some younger black men there, but a lot of them were older. And that's something that those rioters needed to see, that, look, we're not big, strong, powerful people with guns and all kinds of weapons. We're just ordinary Americans, ordinary men standing here and telling you that what you're doing is wrong and it's asinine. And we're not going to move until you back down. And that was a show of American pride in my book. That is what America
absolutely.
Really is about. It isn't about the stupid politicians making all these dumb statements. Well, I'm just going to give the people space to tear up the city. No, what was really American and what was the right thing to do was those men standing in between the cops and those rioters, protecting the cops, acting as shields for the cops. That was good. That was important. That was the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Rod, I was actually discussing this situation with my wife and daughter, and I don't know how your take would be on this, but my take is that there are a lot of, well, let's just say you got the Baltimore Ravens right there in Baltimore. Why wouldn't they make a show in jerseys and jeans? I know it's off season, but to help with the cleanup efforts this morning, like the citizens were out doing. And there are plenty of pro athletes that are from, quote unquote, the Baltimore area that are in off season right now that could have come home and shown exactly what you were talking about, the American pride and doing the right thing, not just for themselves, but for the whole of Baltimore.
I get asked questions similar to that a lot, and it's plain and simple. Look, we have a lot of people who are of African American descent who are moving beyond the ghetto, and they're doing it in a number of different ways, mostly through entertainment venues such as music or acting or sports. Yes, sports is entertainment, folks. I know that comes as a shock to some people, but it is.
It is.
So they're making a living or becoming very successful in an entertainment industry. And a lot of these people do not tend to give back, and they come from those same mean streets. Now, some of them are asked point blank, well, why do you do it? They'll give you two reasons. Well, one, I had to find my way out, and nobody helped me. And two, I just got out of there. Why do I want to go back? So in a sense, when you're saying, well, why don't some of these people, these very well-known sports figures, why don't they go back to their hometown if they're from Baltimore? Why don't they come back and help in the cleanup? And the answer, right or wrong, the short answer is many of them think, I just got out of that nonsense, that mess. Why do I want to go back? And some of them actually might be afraid for their life, to be frank. If they go back, they came from the hood, they came from the streets, they came from gangs. And, if musical rappers can be shot down, sports stars can too. I mean, some of these guys, they literally don't like to go back to their old neighborhood because of whatever they left behind. They don't want it to chase them, and for other reasons. But I kind of agree they should make a statement by at least doing, if they can't be there physically, they should back their mouth up with a little bit of money, put a little bit of cash on it, and send it to organizations that will actually do the cleanup for you and help the communities. Do something. Just don't sit back. Don't be quiet. Don't do nothing. I mean, that's wrong. But those are the reasons that I often get or often hear from these people why they don't do much in their own community.
Well, I can certainly see that. I being, I guess, technically speaking, multiracial. I am part Hispanic, part Native American, and then part Caucasian. And I grew up in a very cruddy neighborhood as a small child. Just mom raising two boys, we certainly got to know what poor was like down in the burbs of Miami. But I just, for the life of me, I just cannot understand. And I want to thank Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens for at least making the statements that he made, just explaining how idiotic the actions of the rioters were. Why would you burn your own community down? You're putting potentially your own family members out of jobs. So I don't know. I just can't fathom it all. And then to see the city's leadership pull the stunt that it pulled on top of all that, it was just like, adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I don't understand where people think that obviously it's not about, for many of them, it wasn't about looking for justice for Mr. Gray. It was all about what they could get for themselves. Quite frankly, because I don't understand why in order, if you're mad at the police, if you think the police broke the law, why would you rob potentially literally your next door neighbor's small business? Why would you break in there and just take everything that he owns? He had nothing to do with the police.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So, some of the things I'd been putting out over the last couple of days is like, nothing screams, we want justice, like slashing the firemen's hoses that are being used to extinguish fires next to your house. And I think I also said, nothing screams, we want justice, like burning down a senior citizen center. And then the mayor, with that senior center, it was actually under construction, nearly completed. People getting ready to move into this thing, and it gets torched. And the mayor says publicly that there's nothing known to connect the riots to the fire at the senior center. And at the same time she's saying that, CNN is spooling the film of the rioters setting the fire.
Yeah, this woman, this mayor, she just doesn't get it.
You're right.
She doesn't get it. She's a full-fledged. Well, there are some people out there that are saying that this woman is actually an Islamist sympathizer, but she's a full-fledged liberal nut job.
Yes.
And you don't go out there and talk about. Look, you don't say one thing on tape, on camera, on video, and then the next day go out there and say, "Oh, I didn't say that." Shall we rewind and roll the tape for you? I mean, It takes a special kind of stupid to do that. I'm just going to say it like it is. It's a special kind of stupid. Hey, Baltimore, you elected a special kind of stupid for mayor. Plain and simple.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And I would really be curious as to what her message was that got her elected.
Look, she's another glaring example that elections have direct and indirect consequences. And here's a direct consequence of people electing another liberal who does not qualify and should not be in positions of leadership, because she was not showing any leadership at all, actually.
Right. And the other thing too, Rod, is the whole, and I'm not saying conspiracy anything. Things just happen like they happen, and the media does what they do because they do want to tell us not only what we should be concentrating on, but how we should be viewing it. All this explodes just as the heat starts to get turned up on Hillary over irregular funding to the Clinton Foundation from Colombians and Russians and Canadians. And again, I'm not claiming any kind of conspiracy, but now the media has something else to focus on to help shield Hillary from this kind of heat.
The good old wag the dog stuff. Bill Clinton was very good at that kind of thing, and this is exactly why some people in Hollywood made the movie Wag the Dog. And the glaring comparison with the Clinton administration with the movie was incredible. So there is something to be said about taking the mainstream media actually dropping the Clinton scandal right now. Well, I shouldn't say singular, but multiple scandals, but especially the new one. However, that's only going to give her a slight reprieve, because I don't think that this is something that's going to be let go. Now, Clinton is already out there making speeches about how bad the riots were and that we need to change the justice system simply because there's too many people incarcerated and too many black people incarcerated. Hello, Hillary. Most of the new laws that were created that put these people in jail were written by, introduced by, and passed by your liberal cronies all over the country on a state and federal
also
level.
Under her husband's administration.
Yeah, so you can't be blaming, saying that it's kind of like Obama's constantly fighting the system. Well, he is part of the system. He is the system. But
right.
Okay, so now you're going to say that you need to change it. So what are you going to do to change it?
Right.
And she's trying to take the focus off of her issues, but I don't think it's going to work. And she's not going to. There's a bunch of people that just aren't going to let this go away, and I'm one of them. Sean Hannity's another. I don't think Fox News is going to let this slide by. Once this Baltimore thing is over, and it will in a couple of days, it'll be done, and that's it. And it'll be another footnote in American history, in big city liberal American history, as another reason not to vote for these people.
Right.
But she's going to have to come back and answer these questions because the stories are still out there. They're still coming out with new stories on a daily basis about what do the Clintons know. Like today, there was a story I read earlier, news story. Only about 10% of the Clinton Foundation money was actually going out as charitable gifts to other organizations or to help people in need. Only 10% was going back out to charity. So they're raking in all this money and sending out only 10% of it. So I don't think this is going away for her.
Well, and you're absolutely right. Last week, I actually did a segment that I titled, "Where's Hillary's Money Coming From and Why You Should Care?" And I actually laid out how the Clinton Foundation pays $22 million a year in annual expenses, and that's overhead and salaries and benefits for their foundation employees. And that $22 million that they pay every year is more than they've actually paid out in charitable donations since the foundation's inception.
Yes.
And I mean, to me, that's incredible, because here we're talking Russia One. Their CEO donates $113 million to the Clinton Foundation. And 6 weeks later, Russia One is granted permission to purchase the uranium mining business there in the U.S. that gives them 20% of the world's uranium. And then you turn around and you've got the Canadian multimillionaire and CEO Frank Giestra of Pacific Rubiales, which is a Colombian-based oil company, who donated $104 million to the Clinton Foundation. And 2 weeks after that, Pacific Rubiales was granted a U.S. port contract in Colombia through the State Department. And those two things, to me, I mean, you know, maybe nothing wrong happened, but I think it's sketchy enough that it needs to be looked into.
It does. You just don't get connections like that by happenstance.
No.
There's one thing I've learned: there's really no such thing as coincidence. There is happenstance, and there is purposefulness. So either it just happens that all this stuff falls in the line and makes it look like something bad is going on, which is really rare, especially for this much, or all this was done on purpose. And everybody involved knows that it was done on purpose, and they're now looking for ways to cover their little tushies.
Right.
And
right.
let's face it, none of these people who actually have something to lose are going to stand by and lose everything for the Clintons. It's just not. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Well, you know, like I said, it really would be some kind of sequence of events to have the timing of this play out like it did and everything be on the up and up. You know, Hillary, the foundation is now refiling tax returns because they made some quote unquote mistakes. How many American citizens could get away with doing that? You know, just saying, oh, I made a mistake on my taxes, I'll just file again. And the IRS will be like, oh, thank you so much. You know, that doesn't work for people like you and me.
I think Wesley Snipes tried to do that. He tried to, say, well, my accountant did it. I didn't know all this, and I'll be more than happy to pay up the difference and refile. And they're like, nope, too late, going to jail. So,
yeah.
So,
what happened to Willie Nelson?
And I don't know why they should be able to.
Right, exactly. And they should face the same punishment as anybody else. But, they are American royalty, so to speak, I guess.
In their own minds, yes.
Well, in somebody's minds, but all right, folks, we are live with Rod Eccles. As always, the phone line is open. The number is 408-681-8255. We'll take your questions on anything and everything. Rod, I always like to do that. I don't try to restrict anybody. If I don't care what they want to talk about, if they want to call and hate on me, I let them call and hate on me because I can handle it. But we're here, and I've got Rod for a little while longer. I know, Rod, you have a show to do this evening yourself, and I don't want to hold you up and pin you against the start of that. So I do want to cut you a few minutes to do what you got to do. But we are glad to have you here. And we've been discussing Baltimore and Hillary's irregular fundings through the foundation. And Rod, I meant to ask you earlier, are you making plans maybe to be at the Southern Republican Leadership Conference next month?
At this time, I don't think I'll be able to join in the festivities down there. I would like to be down there and help make an impact, but I think that will have to wait till next year.
Okay, well, you will be sorely missed. Rick and I will both be there. Was just looking forward to maybe getting a chance to shake your hand and meet you face to face.
That would have been fun, but scheduling and everything, I got to tell you that things have just been going absolutely bonkers for me with my program right now, and everything is coming at me all at once. It's a lot of fun to handle, but it's just my schedule is so full, and I don't think I've ever had a schedule like this in my entire life. So I'm also learning how to handle that and deal with it and try to prioritize. So I just ask people to bear with me, but we will get to where we need to get to, and hopefully we'll be start making appearances like that fairly shortly. But at this time, I just don't think I can make it down there in time.
Hey, that is all right. I understand. Success is a terrible burden, isn't it? I mean, you work so hard for it, and I mean, that is the American dream. You want the success, you want it to come. You want your hard work to mean something, and here it's happening, and you are taking off, man. It's good stuff, and I'm glad for you. I was just being a little selfish, wanting to shake your hand and meet you in person, but I will live. Anyway,
we will sit down and have a good old American beer, and we'll compare our wonderful firearms and what it means to be an American, and we'll tell stories, and people will gather around and they'll understand what it is, what a true American really is.
Well, I just I take pride in just being called one, so I mean. I know exactly what you mean, explore all those freedoms and liberties and do it in accordance with the laws that bind us all together as Americans. And that's what makes this country great, when people can do that and get along with one another.
Absolutely. It's a good thing. Some people they don't realize that we don't have to agree on the micro, but a good patriot, we agree on the macro. We agree that the Constitution is the law of the land. We
Yes.
agree that our government should limit itself more to the Constitution, and we agree that the American people actually are the power behind the government, and that we're the ones that should have the final say on just about everything. What we might disagree on is basically how best do we accomplish those macro goals? How do we get back to being more politically conscious and being more of a constitutional republic? Some people think it goes, through one of the best ways to do it is to go through people like Ted Cruz, and some people say no, it's Rand Paul, and some people will say no, it's Scott Walker. Well, see, all that kind of stuff, that's the micro.
Right.
The macro, we can agree, just like the Founding Fathers agreed on the macro, but they disagreed vehemently on exactly how they wanted to accomplish that big picture.
Yes, they did.
They disagreed often vehemently on how the Constitution should actually be written in the Bill of Rights. Well, what should we include in order to protect people's rights? They were all in agreement that they needed to protect the people from the government. They all were in agreement on that. But they were not in full agreement with exactly how you could do it. And that actually led to some really heated arguments and fisticuffs and all kinds of things. And people that don't know our own history don't realize that actually happened.
Oh, yeah.
But
that
they ended up
Jefferson and James Madison were at each other constantly.
Yes. They didn't like each other very much, but they, they compromised. They came together. They came up with a document that still works to this day, plain and simple. Yeah. And look, there is no other government in history of this country that is anything like this government, like this governing document. Sure, the ancient Romans, they lasted for 500 years or so, and they're probably one of the longest lasting, most enduring freedom-style empires the planet has ever seen. But even they were not like this republic, the United States.
No.
And we're totally different, which some people just still to this day don't understand how it works, but it works simply because we truly believe that the people who are here legally and the citizenry actually have a God-given right to live their life in freedom with as little government intrusion on their daily life as possible. That's what makes us great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And speaking of the government intrusion, I'm sure somebody with a keen eye like yours noticed the roll call vote on H.R. 1731 the other day, the National Cybersecurity Protection Advancement Act of 2015. Basically, Congress the House of Representatives voted to grant themselves more access into our private communications and our private lives.
Yeah, it's funny how, let me give you a glaring example. There are a number of people who believe that now, a growing number of people that believe that Congress, the Senate and House of Representatives, should have term limits. Well, this is what the response is from these people who are currently serving in the Senate and the House of Representatives. Oh, that's not a good idea. That is going to, take away from the people's ability to vote who they want into office. And I'm thinking, okay, so these people, if the vast number of American people are saying it's time for term limits, and these people are saying that's a bad idea, well, who are they representing? So if the vast majority of Americans are saying it's time for the Patriot Act to sunset and all its provisions to go away and government needs to stop snooping on us, but these people are that we elect then turn around and tell us, well, we need this for security and safety. Well, we don't want this. This is not the type of security and safety we were looking for. We don't want it. Get rid of it. No. We need this. Yeah. Who are they representing?
Well, I can tell you now that the breakdown on the vote was 355 yes and 63 no. And of the 355 yes, there were 135 Democrats and 220 Republicans. So this is, really, they're bonding together on this issue.
They call that bipartisanship.
Well, yeah.
American people, I guess. That's when bipartisanship comes into play.
Well, I suppose that this is one of the few occasions where they actually do practice it. The other occasion, Rod, I don't know how old you are, but I'm going to go ahead and, because of your grasp of history, I'll bring this up. When Ross Perot took a run for the White House, the Republicans and the Democrats actually practiced some bipartisanship in trying to squash him.
Yes, I remember Ross Perot. Hey, Larry, I'm telling you, Larry, I get this look at me, Larry. I'm all ears. I'm open for ideas. I'm not talking about the ears inside of my head. I'm just talking, Larry, that I'm open. And those black helicopters flying around, Larry, that's right, Larry. They still couldn't keep me from getting 19% of the vote that year.
Which for a third party is gigantic.
Unprecedented.
And
you know what? Admit I voted for him. I did.
Wow.
I helped Bill Clinton into office. Yes, I did. I apologize for that, and I never did that again. But at that particular point, people were really fed up with the two-party system. They were really, and Perot came along at the right time with the right message that grabbed a lot of people's imagination. And if the guy hadn't, cooped out and freaked out, it is a possibility that he could have won. He was polling very well. And George Herbert Walker Bush was in trouble from the get-go. So the only other contender that was left was Bill Clinton. And then unfortunately Perot had to go and wig out on us, and then he lost that momentum and thus lost the election. But it could have been turned out a totally different, which would have been kind of interesting.
I think so too. I'm still waiting for the day where this country is actually run by somebody who has overseen, a multifaceted, heavily employed corporate environment that knows how to run a business successfully and isn't afraid to make the changes that they need to make in order to make our country as, I don't want to say profitable, but, I do want to say profitable, but not in the monetary way, but, just afraid not to pull the trigger on whatever it is that's right instead of going with the ideology.
Right. Yeah, hopefully as maybe with this Baltimore stuff, we'll start to see some changes even in the more polarized communities that tend to always vote one way instead of another, no matter who is running in that particular preferred seat. And this type of stuff, look, we're starting to see changes already. Maybe they're not nationwide yet, but it always major change usually has to start very small on a very local level. And we're starting to see changes in people's attitudes in cities like Detroit and Chicago. So hopefully those feelings will be roused into actual actions, and we'll start to see on a local level some changes made in the political landscape. Hey, look, it's possible in 2010, we turned out over 700 Democrats in a single election, but, from local to federal level. So it's not impossible to say that such a thing, similar thing, maybe not in such a vast number, but a similar thing can continue in areas that have normally been liberal Democrat bastions. And maybe Baltimore is in for a change.
Well, we can always hope. I don't think we would see the 700 number again like that. But if we could build on that success, even if it's just another 100, it's a move in the right direction. No pun intended.
I'll take the pun. It's a good pun.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I live in an area that is staunchly conservative. Just about anything that happens where I live along the Gulf Coast here, it's handily going to the conservative side, at least 2-1, if not 3-1 in the polls. I worry about some of these areas, where you can actually take a whole state by winning one city.
Well, yeah. I mean, those are very large cities, and the rest of the state is, the population is almost nil compared to the city. So that's right. That's one of the scary things about people actually, the drum beating to actually get rid of the electoral college system. Look, the Democrats fully understand that if they can just hold on to the large, heavily populated areas, and if they got rid of the electoral college, they could win anything at a national level at any time that they wanted.
Right.
It would effectively turn this country into a one-party state. And they're also trying the illegal immigration, getting all these wonderful illegal immigrants, and they're underestimating the numbers on purpose. Oh, yeah. There's only 5 million, maybe 6. And some people will say, no, there's 11 million. Well, the reality is, and I've heard a number as high as 50 million illegals in this country.
Oh, I was going to say, I heard 31, but 50 is not outside of what I would believe.
Well, even if we just cut that number in half and say 25 million, that is more than enough to change the political landscape and dynamic of this country for generations to come.
Absolutely.
And this is exactly what they're looking for.
It is. And that's exactly what they're looking for. And that's exactly what they're getting, because, quite frankly, nobody's stepping up and stopping them. You know, we were promised with this new Congress that was one of the most conservative Congresses elected in quite some time, that they were going to stop amnesty, but they didn't come through. They capitulated.
They gave in. Well, you know, the wonderful blue blood Republican leadership, they're not exactly conservatives anyway. They're the ones that are out there saying that you know, the Tea Party is bad, 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 pretty much like a Democrat. Right. And the Tea Party is saying, well, you know, we gave you some good conservative people in order to give you a majority. Now do something with it. And they're not doing much with it.
Well, that's true. That's true. But, you know, we got Congressman McCall down there. He's rewriting some of the, I guess, the guidelines for what, you know, they were approved to do that double layer fence with the patrol road in between. You know, we got like 100 and something miles of that never gets penetrated. And he's taking funding away from doing more of that. And he's putting in things like traffic bulwarks at the border. And they're doing this so that illegals can actually physically cross. They drive right up to the bulwarks, stop their vehicle, get out and walk across the border and get into an employer's truck and go work for the day and then come back at the end of the day and go back across the border. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this helping Americans that need jobs?
It's not. It's taking potential jobs away from America. And let's face it, we've got 98 million people out of work that are no longer participating in the labor market.
Yeah.
You know, they could take some of these jobs, and you know, this whole notion that we cannot close the border. Look, Saudi Arabia is spending in upwards of $2 billion to build themselves a fence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is along the border of that they share with Iraq, and they're doing it not to keep out Iraqis, but because they're scared to death of ISIS, and they're doing it to keep out the radical Islamists and ISIS out of Saudi Arabia. And this fence that they're building, it is high tech and low tech combination, and it is a thing that they are building out there in the desert. And they fully expect it to work. And looking at the designs of this thing, it will work.
Sure.
For us to say that we can't do the same thing is ludicrous. It's not that we can't. It's just that there are people in power that won't.
Yes.
And when we do build things that actually work, then they want to stop that. Oh, no, we can't spend that kind of money on this thing. Well, yeah, we can, but you don't want it because it's actually working. See, you're more than happy to build a chain link fence that somebody can hop over or use a pair of wire cutters and cut through. And then you'll just probably proclaim, see, we can't stop them. They're going to get through anyway. But if we spend a few more bucks on something that actually works, where they can't hop over, they can't climb over, they can't dig under, they can't cut with chain link cutters, and then you want to stop it and say it costs too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Congressman McCall, you know, he's GOP. He's from Texas. You would think if anybody would get it, that this guy that's sitting on this House committee rewriting where all this funding is going to be spent and how at the border, who would know better than somebody that's right there and sees it every day, basically, from their constituency?
They would, well, again, it's the people aren't being represented. The ones in Washington and certain people in state legislatures across the country, they're not only are they not listening to the people, they're just plain not representing them, even when they hear them. You know, we want you to do A, Senator. Huh? You want me to do B? No, A, Senator. Okay, we'll do B. this is what we're getting.
Yeah,
they're not listening,
and
they're not.
quite
They're not
frankly,
because
you're
not
right.
enriching their pockets. Really, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I'll be sending actually my my congressman a nastygram on what was this HR 1731, because he was one of the yes votes from the GOP, and quite frankly, I know him personally, and I'm very disappointed in that vote. Would his no vote have swung it? No, it wouldn't have, but he could have put the fight up.
Yeah, they could at least, it's kind of like the Loretta Lynch thing. She's now our Attorney General.
Yeah.
Why? She should have made it pass it, but they decided, well, the president should get what who the president wants. No, that is not what the Constitution says.
That's right.
And it's not what people were saying. The people were saying, turn her out. She's not what we want.
Absolutely.
And then we have a number of Republicans that just went along and said, okay, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah. And some that were even foaming at the mouth to do it, which is even scarier.
I just go SMH, shaking my head.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Rod, I've got 7 till. I know you start at the top of the hour, so you tell me when you have to break loose, my friend. I'd keep you for 2 if I could, but I was told that I can't. So, but we'll take this thing full circle as we sum it up. I heard Steny Hoyer today. We both know who he is, but he said that the problem in Baltimore was that they needed more government spending. We'll circle back to Baltimore real quick.
Yeah. As if spending money. Look, spending money doesn't usually fix the problem. In fact, sometimes it makes the problem worse. And the prime example is our educational system. Do people realize that we spend more on average per student in public school per year than any other industrialized nation on the planet? And yet, we don't get much of anything in return out of that. We're testing, our students test at the bottom of the industrialized testing list.
Yep.
I mean, it's insanity. We're not spending enough. You're right. We're not spending enough. We're spending too much and not getting anything in return. So spending more money on this is not going to fix the problem when the problem is leadership to begin with.
Oh, couldn't agree more. I guess much like State Department says, I don't know, maybe the problem is jobs. Maybe like ISIS, they just need jobs.
I'm not even going. I cannot believe that that's just how stupid these people are. Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's even fair.
They call that harfing now, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not even fair to attack people that stupid. It really isn't. I mean, because it's so obvious that they're morons.
Yeah, well, they're unarmed to fight back, so. Oh man, okay. That is so good. Well, Rod, I think I need to break for a commercial. We've pretty much stolen the first hour from Rick at K98 there, so he's been kind to us. And I was told right, your show starts in just minutes.
Yes.
Please tell us where we can find that.
You can find it currently on Spreaker. It's the Rod Eccles Show over on Spreaker, and of course they can find times and stations and channels that I'm on all over the web and looking to go over the air over on rodeccles.net. That'll give you all the information of where to listen to the show, read some of what I'm told are brilliant articles out there. I'm just glad I can put 2 sentences together. I did go to school at a time when they actually did teach English, so maybe that's why people think my articles are good.
That's fantastic. Rod, I would love, again, to have you back on sometime. I have enjoyed this thoroughly. I very much look forward to the chance of getting to meet you, maybe CPAC next year.
That would be wonderful. I too. I'd love to come back sometime and do it all over again. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much, Rod Eccles. I cannot say thank you enough. This has been fantastic. I love having somebody with brain power on the show, and you are my first two-time interview, sir, so I appreciate it.
I am honored. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right, Rod, you too. Take care, buddy.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nixon provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans.